Greetings, fellow detectives, and welcome to part 4 of our Let's Play of What Remains of Edith Finch. We are in the nursery, I suppose, Gregory's room. We just kind of finished Gregory's story. Extremely sad, and I'm starting to realize that the majority of this family's history is very sad, but also extremely fascinating. So let's find out some more. I can only imagine what else there could possibly be at dawn. Some army posters.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
Gus. So this must have been her mom's brother.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
Okay, we're a kite. Got it. Oh, the letters are over here now. Got it. Oh.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart.
So Gus didn't want somebody to get married. Oh, yeah, his dad remarried. That's right.
I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Poor kid.
You may kiss the bride.
It's so cool that you can even hear, like, the ceremony in the background. Okay, what are the rest of the words? Over here? Whee! Oh, are they up here? Oh! Whoa, whoa.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Oh. Oh. Oh, snap.
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Oh, there's about to be a storm. Oh! Like a hurricane. Big
Rain
storm.
came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Oh my gosh, all the chairs. This is scary. Oh dear.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Oh dear. Oh!
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
Oh, sad.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Oh. Let's see, he was only 13. Lots of little beach items. Gus, a little bit of a rebel. Wow. Okay, the door's sealed. Looks like we're going this way. Oh, interesting. Their dad was a military. He was in the military, so his kids were kind of raised like they were in the military. They had morning duties, they had to raise the flag. Wow, they were raised with pretty strict routines. Interesting. That explains a decent amount. Oh, wow. Oh, fun. I would have loved a rock climbing wall in my
Mom
room.
moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
Oh.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Oh, it's kind of nice up here. She made it really, really her own.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Interesting. I like this rug. The colorful designs.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Dawn and Sanjay.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
So that's our oldest brother, Louis. Okay, well, we can't really go down that way. So it looks like we're going up.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
Oh, so then she moved back home here. Dawn,
And to see kids in the house again.
Edith, Milton, Louis. And they all had different little pots, a little garden section. That's very sweet.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
So they just added onto the top. So that's why it's got this kind of strange higgledy-piggledy part of the top, which is interesting.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Oh, there's like a little schoolhouse. So they were homeschooled. Analyze objectively, never stop learning, assume nothing, respect criticism, ask tough questions. Books. Gerbil. Presumably, based on the first part. Edith, Barbara, Gus, Molly, Sam, Calvin, Sven, Odin, Gregory. Louis rules. Our family history.
But it didn't last.
But it didn't last. Relief efforts end in disaster. Oh, that's how Sanjay died. Oh. Scientific method. Odin Finch history.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Oh dear.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
So Milton was kind of an artist. And Milton disappeared. We never found Milton. Presumed dead, but not guaranteed. Lots of footprints and drawings of different places
I think
on the
Edie
island.
was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
That's a really cool painting. I like that a lot. Wow. Milton, our younger brother.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
He's painting a secret door. Walking through it.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Oh no, wait, Edith is the youngest. Milton was the middle child. Edith is quite a bit younger than Milton, actually. Interesting. He kind of looks like the kid in Where the Wild Things Are, which is interesting. Okay, so... where am I supposed to go now? Ah, back down.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
That's so sad. Well, if Milton can go through secret doors, can we? No? Okay.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Interesting. I like how we can sometimes, see my shadow. Ah, okay, we can go up. I was wondering where we would go next. Okay. Wow, the water looks so good. The waves. Oh, the forest. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty and so eerie.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself.
For Milton.
After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Hence all of the canned salmon. Lewis.
Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
Huh. And he was 22. Hmm. Something we can look at over here, right? Gosh, I mean, even just having a house this high up is super dangerous. Like, with all the falling risks, I mean, no wonder people got hurt. I mean,
Lewis's
clearly.
room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Ooh. Oh, I love the psychedelic stuff. Oh, it's pretty. Wait, I wasn't trying to go that way. I'm assuming there's something I can look at in here.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
At least he graduated high school. He got old enough to be able to graduate high school.
Dear Mrs. Finch, As Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to
Wander?
wander.
Oh, this is hard.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads.
It's so hard to control two separate things at once. I'm controlling the hand and also Lewis.
And things that had not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
Oh, wow.
In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for
This is interesting.
sinister serpents. He followed the sound of his silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know.
Uh-oh.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
Uh-oh.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
Nice music.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
His head and take the crown.
Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Oh. Oh.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Is that everyone but Dawn and Edie? Oh dear. Nope, ended up to. They're lovely stairs. They're great. Oh. I think we're supposed to go through the door back there. There's a door. There's a door. Has a doorknob. It's just really easy to get waylaid by the stairs. There we go. There we go. Okay.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed.
Oh, the noise of the packing peanuts.
But I understand why we left.
Yeah, I understand too. Especially if this place is cursed. Is it just the house or is it the family?
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
To teach and to learn, Dawn Finch.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
All that's left now is to tell you about that last night, huh? All right.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories! I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
Am I supposed to tug with
I
mine?
kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Did she die in childbirth? Oh, I have goosebumps. Wow. Oh, that makes me so sad. I'm gonna cry. I never cry at games. Oh, for Shirley Dallas. Oh, wow. What a beautiful game. Devastatingly sad, but really moving, and a really amazing reflection on life and death. The artistry of it all is so beautiful. The art style, the way all of the environments are designed, the puzzles. I'm so glad I finally played this game. Thank you to everyone who recommended this one to me. This was a wild ride. Again, I feel kind of emotional after that, which I guess is the point. I'm assuming we're supposed to feel pretty emotional after this kind of game. But I would love to hear in the comment section what you all thought of this game. What's kind of the meaning that you got from this game? What did you think of it? Thank you so much for watching this Let's Play. This was a shorter Let's Play, but I think a really fun one. If you know of any other games that are similar to this one, similar to What Remains of Edith Finch that I haven't yet played on the channel, please let me know those in the comments section as well. But thank you all so much for supporting this little Let's Play. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Nancy Drew, Sims 4, and additional game content. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. I will see you soon.